Hi everyone, and welcome to the Pisces July 2021 self-connection reading. So this is just one of 3 readings that I do for each sign each month in our connection series. So this will be a self-connection reading. There is also a spiritual connection reading and a partnership connection reading. Each one of these readings is meant to bring awareness to a different aspect of your experience to allow you to fully engage with life from a place of awareness and be able to also find meaning and place and purpose, and through that emotional fulfillment through this aware and engaged sense of self with your external environment. So since this is a self-connection reading, we are going to start with pulling a card for curiosity. So all videos work with the Triad of Engagement, which you can learn more about clicking in one of the description, in one of the video links in the description box below, which has links to the Triad of Engagement, which focuses on demonstrating the importance of working with curiosity, courage, and contemplation, and how when applied together they can help fully engage not only you with your unique spiritual individual self, but also you with the larger concept of spirit and you with others. All right, so let's see here, my lovely Pisces. What first, as we pull cards for curiosity, is gonna come up for the month of July for you? Let's see here. So, we have 2. So we have surrender to the wisdom of your body. And it says, listen to your body's messages about a person or situation. If you feel physically drained or uncomfortable, be cautious. If you are energized and happy, move forward. Very important. And then we have surrender to your full power. Love this card. And it says your life is calling for you to step into your full power rather than playing it small. So when we're looking at our connection to self, meaning self-awareness, and we're working with the principle of curiosity. So right off the bat, I'm going to build 2 questions to ask yourself this month as you're sitting and engaging with you. Now, what do I mean by engaging with you? I mean, this is engaging with your unique, original, authentic self, the singularity that you are. So this is outside of judgment, outside of you comparing yourself to others. This is seeing yourself for the unique individual that you are and finding full appreciation for it. So I've noticed in my own life, as I've done this and as I've personally meditated and reconnected with self, as I've gone through events and circumstances in my life, I have uncovered certain aspects of myself that have surprised me. And these are gifts, abilities, talents. Even being able just to unlock and work with a gift or an ability from, let's say, when you were a child, and when I was a child, and remembering that. So we can go through something that happens in our external environment and realize, oh my gosh, I forgot that part of myself was there, or I forgot that I liked to do that, or I forgot that I was actually good at that at one point. And so that's where we're really working. That's the energy we're working with here in these self-connection readings. It's about bringing awareness back to you, separate from your external environment. So when we talk about surrender to the wisdom of your body, this is really talking about when we think of ourselves, we have a emotional side to ourselves, we have a mental side, we have a physical side, and we have a spiritual side. Now, when we think about surrender to the wisdom of your body, this is really connecting to your physical aspect of self. So this month, in kind of bringing awareness back to yourself and peeling back some of these onion layers of who you are, you're being asked to take a look at your body and how your body interacts with what I would say is yourself on an emotional level. So when it says here, listen to your body's messages about a person or situation. If you feel physically, and notice it says, if you feel physically drained or uncomfortable, be cautious. If you are energized and happy, move forward. So when we're talking about emotions, we always use the word feel. Now we do the same thing when we talk about our physical bodies and our relationship to that. So this is really opening you up to being curious about your direct connection between emotions and your physical body, and showing you just how much your emotional state can actually affect your physical being and vice versa. So you can actually receive messages from your physical state. Now, what does this look like? For me, I've experienced personally where when I, let's say, had committed to something that I didn't want to do. Let's say I knew I was being asked to commit to hanging out with, either people from work or friends or something along the lines where I knew I did not want to be around that energy or those people's specific energy. I would end up developing a headache or a physical sense in my body that manifested as some type of pain or ache. And I started to notice this more as I became more aware of myself, so that I could realize that perhaps a random headache wasn't just a random headache. It was tied to the fact that on an emotional level, I had committed to something that was not beneficial to me. And these are the kinds of ways that we can start to connect on a physical level and become aware of ourselves, and not just focus on, our thoughts. Well, I've committed to something. I've said yes, this will look good on paper, and realize, no, if you're on a physical level and on an emotional level, you're being told by your body that this isn't right for you. Well, that's as much of a sign that something isn't right as it is to mentally try to walk yourself and force yourself into something. So again, this is bringing awareness to the totality of who you are. So what I would do this month as a question, if you have a place to write this down, is to ask yourself, what does it feel like in my body when I interact with my coworkers? And I would add on one additional aspect of what does it feel like in my body and on an emotional level when I commit and go out with certain friend, family, or peer groups. And I would start to, before you go out and do any type of social interaction, be it through work or be it through leisure time, I would go ahead and just ask yourself that question and check in with your body. And this is literally just taking 1 minute to recite that question. How do I feel in my body right now? How is that tied to the emotions I'm feeling? And then go in from a place of awareness. You don't have to sit there and come up with an answer as to the bigger, well, why am I always feeling this way when I'm around this person or in this circumstance? This is literally just to bring awareness. Awareness to the different parts of your body that tie into different emotional centers of yourself. To then, at the end of the month, you can look back and say, okay, when I checked in around people at work, this was my response. When I checked in with people in my, external environment, this is my response. But we're really focusing on you, your specific response. Now, for surrender your full power, it says your life is calling for you to step into your full power rather than playing it small. So when we're thinking of curiosity, we're going to have a second question around this. So as you're starting to tap in to working with your body and starting to realize how your body responds and shows you kind of as this like compass what's good and what's bad, then we're going to take a look at asking yourself, when we're talking about surrender to your full power, Your full power really, I love that it says here, your life is calling for you to step into your full power rather than playing it small. And I look at that as stepping into life, pulling ultimately everything from within you as a unique individual to live, as I like to call it, live it into your external environment, which is engaging with life. However, we tend to play it small for a number of reasons. We can feel that we don't want to show off. This card actually kind of reminds me of the Strength card in the tarot, Rider-Waite tarot deck, which is associated with the sign of Leo. And there is this quality that sometimes Leo energy can get a bad rap for wanting to be in the spotlight or coming across as not humble. And I think a good question for you this month, Pisces, would be, when we're looking at yourself, to ask yourself, what part of myself am I hiding? And why? Is it because I don't want to be seen as a show-off? Is it because I don't feel like it's appropriate and I'm tying this to external validation? Or is it because I personally am afraid? And just to ask yourself those questions. Now, I would say if you had the chance to journal, this would be a great topic to journal for the month of July as far as unlocking parts of yourself. Because if you're being asked to step into your full power, well, what does that look like for you? What do you consider is your full power? And you might ask, and you might say, well, how am I supposed to know that? How am I supposed to know what my full superpower looks like? Well, this is that first step. So every month, if we are trying to be self-aware, we are going to uncover one little aspect of ourselves and then another little aspect, and then we grow and we grow and we grow it. But first we have to be able to understand that. So this is a good question to ask yourself. What part of yourself do you feel right now that you are playing small? Now, this can be an ability. This could be something like you're a great writer and you don't want to share a book idea or your ability to write in the capacity that you would love to write. This can be even a hope or a dream. So maybe you have this beautiful vision for what you would love to do in a perfect world. Kind of that feeling of, if I won the lottery, I would. And sometimes we're afraid to share that. We're afraid to share that with our significant others. We're afraid to share that just on a platform like this. We're afraid to share it to even ourselves, because that means that at some point we might have to change something. So this is really asking you to look at yourself, see what, when you just think, and again, this isn't about diving deep into like incredible, like sitting here for hours and thinking about it. It's about sitting with yourself. Give yourself anywhere from 10 to 20 minutes to just think about aspects of yourself. We're talking about curiosity. So curiosity, the concept of curiosity, is helping us become open and receptive to information that's coming in, whether it's coming in from the inside out or from the outside in. So this is about just sitting quietly with that thought of, where am I playing it small? And allow your mind to wander a little bit. Allow your mind to wander back to when you were a child. Allow your mind to wander even to now, and see if there are any connections between perhaps a part of yourself that you're hiding now, and link that back to a part of yourself that maybe you had attempted to bring out or work with and then hid as a small child. Or this could be something where, when we're talking about playing an aspect of ourselves small, maybe you have started to work with an aspect of yourself, but sometimes we can be afraid of success. We don't want to take it to the next level. We don't want to kind of, when we say, double down and go for it. So these are all questions to ask, but it's really about just feeling into, when you think about what part of yourself are you playing small, what comes up? right off the bat. And then from there, with what comes up at that point, then you can ask yourself the additional follow-up questions as to why. Is it because I'm afraid of success? Is it because I'm afraid of what my partner is going to say? Is it because I am afraid, it can be a variety of things. Is it because I don't want to be, if I express this part of myself in this fullest capacity, I don't want to be seen as boastful or bragful or a braggart. So it's going to be unique to you. Again, each one of us is a singularity. So this is the questions to ask for the month of July for self-awareness. Now I'm going to pull a card, an animal spirit card, to take a look at courage. So the concept of courage here is to bring awareness to a part of yourself where you need to be more aware of as you take action from a place of self-guided decisions. So we have Pisces brown bear spirit, number 9, and it says, take time out. So, this may seem interesting in the place of courage, in the place of action. So when we're talking about courage, we are talking about our seat of control and where in our experience we have the ability to make the decisions to take action. But to take action not from a place of a lack of awareness, where we're just kind of saying yes to things that we don't even connect to, or choosing to kind of go through our day-to-day tasks and not allowing any of those aspects, any of those tasks to fulfill any direct need or connection between our unique self and that task. So this can be something as simple as not being aware of what you're eating in the day and not aware of how it's making you feel. And for instance, let's say inside of yourself that you want to eat more fresh food and feel better about yourself, but instead you just mindlessly go out and get fast food. That's a disconnection between yourself, self-awareness, and a task, and connecting that self-awareness with what you're choosing to do. No one's forcing you to get fast food. You're making that choice. So when we're thinking about courage, courage is to take action from a place of self-awareness. So when we're saying take time out, that seems kind of counterintuitive, right? Like, okay, I'm gonna take action, but in reality, it says take time out. So am I not supposed to do anything? No, I think what this is telling you is that perhaps you've been moving too fast. Perhaps you haven't been, and when I think of take time out, that really does make me think that you guys have been acting from a place of outside of self-awareness. When this card comes up for me personally, especially with the number 9, there's this element of taking time out to regroup, to kind of go back into your magic Mary Poppins bag of what am I forgetting to work with in here? What am I forgetting that I have in my toolbox that's unique to me, that I'm supposed to be engaging with the external world, that I'm supposed to remember that I have this when I'm making this decision. So this month for you, taking action is going to be all about stopping, reconnecting. Every time you want to go ahead, and this could be a busy month for you. I mean, it's the middle of summer here in the US. There's, we're kind of opening back up from, being closed down due to the pandemic. So there could be a lot of commitments, even a lot of work commitments. A lot of workplaces are opening back up and allowing people to come back to the office. So there's kind of this element of stress and a little bit of chaos because everything's a little disjointed. And so if you're starting to feel at any point like, whoa, I don't know how I feel about all of this, well then this is where you're being asked to stop, take a break, bring yourself back to a sense of self-awareness before you choose to take action. So this is a really measured, it's almost like taking, it's like the expansive energy and bringing it back into self this month for you. And I think that's actually a great, for me personally, I like this energy because it really gives you the permission to not just make these off the cuff decisions, to not get pulled into situations, especially in the workplace or in a family dynamic where you are feeling like you're pressured into making a quick decision. And so this is really the month for you to have permission to say, no, let's step back a minute before I make that decision, and let me check in with myself. Let me check in for two things. Check in to see how I feel, first of all, about this. Check in on a physical level. So bringing this back to the first message, to be curious about, how is this situation? How is this, what's being asked of me to make a decision about? How is it making me feel on a physical level? And then the second question to ask is, in order for me to make a decision here and make it authentic to me, what do I need to dig into my magic bag to bring out to work with? And this could be something where you're being pressured even at work to make a decision between committing to this project or committing to this project. And this is a great time to then come back and say, well, what project is really going to highlight something in this bag of self, in the bag of abilities, hopes, and dreams that are unique to me, that's really going to allow me to bring one of those aspects of self out that's going to help me feel connected to the decision I'm making. So maybe this project seems better on paper, but when you think about it and you bring it back to self, you realize, well, this actually would feel more fun. This would actually engage a part of myself that I really do want to bring back out and connect to again. All right. Now we are going to pick, as a final card here for you guys, we're going to pick one for contemplation. And contemplation is a great principle to work with because it's where we get to integrate lessons learned. We get to take a look at consequences of our actions, and it's really where we continue the self-education process throughout our lives, just through being able to look at the direct experience we have and engaging our unique self with our external environment and what comes of that. Now, contemplation really it's the final principle in the Triad of Engagement, and I think it's a very important principle because it helps take what we become open to with curiosity and the questions, and then where we decide to take action with courage. Contemplation takes those two together and says, okay, what happened? What can we learn from this now? What can we now integrate and apply to allow ourselves as an individual to grow and to become a more knowledgeable, but also a person that is more full of wisdom about not only towards self, but towards my external environment. So Pisces, for contemplation, we have dance with life. And it says, do something to change your energy, which is lovely. So I think, in just looking at what you had for curiosity, which is about, being curious about where you're playing it small. And then you had the other one about feeling into your body. What makes you feel good and what doesn't? And again, you're utilizing your body as this litmus test because in your mind, we can rationalize almost anything to ourselves. We could be hanging out with people that do not make us feel good, but yet we can rationalize the time like, oh, it's just because I'm moody today, or it's just the place we were hanging out at, or it was, instead of realizing, no, this person is actually draining me emotionally and physically, and this is not a positive interaction. Or when I committed to this thing at work, I ended up going home at the end of the day with a raging migraine. And this is where we start to be able to look at ourselves and say, okay, there are areas where I'm overcommitting. There are areas that aren't quite working with me. And then in looking at courage and taking action and, kind of slowing things down and bringing things back to you, realizing I have the power to make my own decisions. I have the power to guide my own experience from a place of self-awareness, and in doing so can build in purpose and value and actually see meaning in what I'm choosing to say yes to or take action towards. And that's really what's going to start to show you perhaps where something needs to change. Because it says do something to change your energy. And it's not about walking away from something, and there's no cards here that are dramatic and like let the tower fall or something like that. This is more about embracing the fun side of life. I get this feeling, Pisces, just intuitively that this month is, we're looking at self-awareness. It's about looking at where you've been holding yourself back from just being an unbridled version of self. You can see this, it's like the woman's dancing and she's just letting herself be free. And so when we're thinking about contemplation and integration, reflection, self-learning, this is about this month learning about where you need to kind of let go. Learning about what doesn't feel good for you and what does. And that it's okay to fully change up something in your life to make yourself feel like this, to make yourself really embrace the feeling of liberation and freedom. And when we're thinking about contemplation, this is about contemplating in areas perhaps where you have not felt that freedom. Coming back to that awareness of body, when you think about sharing some part of yourself that you really want to, what does it feel like? Does it feel like you get this kind of like verklempt feeling, in your chest? Is it a tightness? Is it your mouth goes dry? You get nervous. Now, what if you change that into this sense of freedom? And contemplate on what would actually make you feel like this. What aspect of your life, what one area of your life that is directly connects to who you are as an individual, by just making one decision to change one thing, what would that be to make you feel like you're dancing with life, like you're in flow, like you're totally free? And this could be something like saying, hey world, I love to paint, and I am just going to build in time every day to paint a little bit and to feel like I can do this, because ultimately this makes me feel good. And so I'm not going to say yes to going out with a bunch of friends to get dinner and drinks, because ultimately what would make me feel better and more free is painting on my own. Or it could be the reverse. Maybe you've been a lot of alone time and now you want to go out and you want to engage with others. And you want to share maybe some of the things that you've been doing during the pandemic, or some things that you've learned about yourself, and you need to connect that now with others. But either way, when we're looking at your sense of self, this is about what needs to change to allow you to feel like this, to allow you to feel a sense of liberation. So contemplation for this month is really about contemplating on bringing it back to the first message of curiosity. Where are you holding yourself back? Where are you playing it small? And since contemplation holds us to being self-responsible to consequences and self-responsible to continued self-education through direct experience, what in trying to now, that part of yourself you've been playing small, be able to bring it out and work with it, what do you need to do? What's one action that you can take that'll help make you feel like this? All right, Pisces, I think this month is going to be a great one for you as far as for self-awareness, just bringing your awareness back to you on a physical level, which sometimes we need to. We need to realize, oh my gosh, I've been pushing myself too much. Or, oh my gosh, I didn't realize I gained 20 pounds over the pandemic and I don't feel good. I want to go out and work out. There's all these aspects to self that are tied directly to our physical appearance. And this can even mean when we're talking about being curious about us physically. What are the clothes you're wearing? How are they expressing your internal unique self? Are you dressing and feeling externally the way you connect with yourself internally? All right, Pisces, I hope this has been illuminating on a self-connected, self-awareness level. You can check out your spiritual connection readings and your partnership connection readings, which will be coming out later on in the month. Bye, Pisces.